You're listening to Parasearch UK Radio. News, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. Parasearch UK Radio.
The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch UK Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to The Spirit Dimension with your host, Kerry Greenaway, right here on Parasearch Radio.
Good evening and welcome to The Spirit Dimension. My name is Kerry Greenaway and a very frazzled Kerry Greenaway tonight, I would like to say. And I'm joined in the studio by the lovely Gemma. Good evening, Gemma. Very tired, Gemma.
A very tired Gemma. Good evening, Kerry. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And the lovely, probably a little exhausted himself, Ashley Knibb. Good evening, Ashley. How are you?
Good evening, Kerry and Gemma.
Good evening, Mr. Knibb.
So do you want to tell everybody why you're so tired, Gem?
I was out investigating last night.
Was it good? Did you have
fun?
fun?
It was a good night. Yeah, really enjoyed it. But then I love meeting members of the public anyway and doing what we all love doing. So it was good.
Excellent. And where were you?
Saltmarsh Hall.
That's right.
That's like Yorkshire way on.
That's right.
I'm saying Yorkshire like I don't actually know where it is. It's just up the road.
And that's how tired she is. She doesn't even know where she is.
Yeah. Don't even know where I am. Yeah. Because it is so close to me, though, and I live in Lincolnshire. I always want to say that it's Lincolnshire way, but it's not. It's Hull, so it's classed as Yorkshire.
Okay, well, talking of investigations, there's been a long time in the field. A cry has been going out for a refreshing change to the usual TV investigation formats, hasn't there?
Yes, there has.
And
yeah, finally.
It seems we have a contender, everybody.
Oh, do we need a duff?
We need a duff. Right? There's quite a lot of duffs needed in this show tonight, I feel. Now, this is a series that's free. It's on YouTube, and it's called Hellier. Now, if you've not caught this, I would suggest you do, because it is a complete breath of fresh air in regards to how people approach investigations. Now, it is a little different because it's not paranormal investigating as like you would go to a building and just search ghosts and stuff. Do you know what I mean? It is a little different. And it is with Dana and Greg Newkirk, who are part of the Travelling Museum of the Occult, and they do weird... Help me out here.
Week in the Weird. Week in the Weird.
That's it.
Weird website, the blog.
They do lots of different things like that. And they've been around for a little while. In fact, I believe they said they've been around for about 20 years.
Yeah, they both started quite at an early age, I think, into paranormal, didn't they? Then sort of like, I think if you remember rightly from Hellier as well, doesn't Greg say at one point they actually had, like, he called them rival ghost hunting websites or something?
Yeah, that's wasn't it? How awesome is that? Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. So they, and basically what happens is they get an email come through an old, website they used to run, which shows them when they were really young and not it's not a very professional website. It's just been left up there. And they get an email through from somebody saying that they're experiencing something weird going on their property, and it's freaking them out, basically. And so, you know, as normal, you go, okay, well, thank you for your inquiry. Nothing in it to particularly catch the claw into you at this point. And so, you know, he messages back, and, you know, they do a bit of messaging backwards and forwards. And then it starts to get interesting, doesn't it?
It gets more than interesting. I mean, if anybody's seen hopefully the whole series, but from the very first show, you're gripped, aren't you?
Yes, it's definitely got a hook, hasn't it?
Massively.
Definitely has. Yeah, it's put together really, really, really well. So the information is delivered just at the right moment, with just the right amount of information. So you kind of want to know more all the way through and keep following it to see what happens next. And it becomes quite a binge series, doesn't it? Quite quickly.
Oh yes.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, you know, it starts off with these emails. You know, we're having a few issues. The family are scared, and then come the pictures.
Mm-hmm. What did you guys make of the pictures?
Which ones? The footprints
Footprints, to start with. There's footprints, everybody. Photographs of footprints. Should I restate? There's not just footprints. You know, any old footprint. But they're like...
There may be some spoilers in this show, right?
Yeah, there are going to be some spoilers if you've not seen it, so beware. Now, there are footprints, and they're like sort of like a bit rounded with 3 toes, aren't they?
And very small.
And small, yeah, very small too. And if I remember rightly as well, they've got he mentions that they've got, because he put the picture out to some of the community, he knows he can't think of them outdoorsy people, and they mentioned that the pictures are interesting because they've got ridges, which are like the fingerprints of your feet, if you like. Mm-hmm. I think he said so, which is unusual. So which makes it very difficult to fake. I mean, I'm no expert, so I don't know how true that is, but I mean. Yeah, it makes if that's the case, then it makes it quite a bit interesting sort of thing. But
if you think of a footprint like a fingerprint, then it's going to be individual, isn't it?
It's certainly going to be, to get that
I'm
print.
Pretty sure, just like you, I'm no expert in footprints, but surely it must be seriously difficult to fake that. And the pictures are quite convincing, in all fairness. Mm-hmm. Especially the footprint.
I mean,
well, yes, they are, but they could have been faked. Let's put it out there. That could have been faked. We know of cases where some weird reason somebody made a massive set of footprints and went across muddy fields and beaches and it was a bit of a thing, but it turned out to be a fake. So it could possibly have been faked, but at the end of the day, backed up by the information in the emails, it actually becomes quite interesting from a weird perspective. It's something that you would kind of go, that's interesting.
Yeah, as an
bearing in mind,
investigator,
we're all into the weird and wonderful.
As an investigator, it would niggle you. You'd have to dig a little bit deeper. You couldn't just go, that's probably faked, and walk away.
It's the sort of case everybody wants, isn't it?
Yeah, you couldn't just walk away from it and just turn your nose off. But you kind of want to know. You'd have to know a little bit more, or test it a little bit to make sure that there's more in it than just that. And you'd kick yourself if you walked away and somebody else picked it up and found the holy grail of information or whatever and all that kind of stuff and got something really cool out of it. So yeah, you'd have to look into it. And I can understand why they've done that. I hands up, would have done the same. No trouble in saying that.
It is the case of a lifetime. It's that kind of thing that drops into your inbox. You start off thinking, oh God, but the more it goes on, the more you think this is becoming more interesting. Then there's photographs. Then there's references to a Terry
R. Wrist.
Thank you.
I
always go for the wrong name on that one. I always get the wrong name on that one. That's right. And synchronicities start happening, coincidences start happening, and it all starts becoming a little strange. And it's your mongoose case, as you've just said in the chat room. It's your mongoose case. And I have to say, no matter how weird this one was, I think I would have run with it myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
If this was happening as it's outlined in the series, I would have gone with it myself. There's a few little bits I would have done differently, but that's just differences between investigators, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, differences between investigators and differences about how you think when you're in the moment. It's easier to review in hindsight, isn't it?
Okay.
But sometimes when you're in the moment, you make different decisions and stuff like that. So that has to be taken into account. But yeah, I can see. Yeah, there are things that when I watched it, I was like, I don't understand what I've done now. I would have done that then and done that then. But yeah. But then that's like you said, that's differences of investigators and how people approach things differently.
And I also think it's sometimes to do with your priorities at the time. Those emails are coming in. You're not just going to be purely focused on that one email or those emails that are coming in. You're going to have lots of other things going on. So it's just like, oh, got another email from that guy. So it's only when you start looking at it as an individual case, you suddenly start going, that's weird.
Well, in the very beginning, when these emails first started coming through to Greg as well, they was living in Canada, wasn't they?
They were.
So they wasn't actually in the USA, and I could be wrong, but I'm 99.9% sure that Greg wasn't actually able to leave Canada at that point.
No,
he was going through immigration.
Yeah, so the emails were coming backwards and forwards, and he was obviously dipping his toe into the case. Fishing for more information, trying to build some sort of a case up for himself. And then, like we say, we got the pictures of the footprints with the dermal ridges, and then they got more pictures with, there was a ruler, wasn't there, next to the footprint to show the size of it.
Yeah.
And then it went quiet for a while as well, didn't it? Like a couple of weeks or something, didn't hear anything. And then David Christie is the owner of the house, or alleged owner of the house where this was all happening. And he sent more emails basically saying that the family had to leave the house in a rush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had to just leave.
Yeah.
They had to get out.
Take
his kids and go.
Well, in between all of this, they do some research and they work out that the cave system is a mammoth cave system that runs all across that area, and it kind of links other cases that have been witnessed in that, in that whole area. Now, this isn't like a little area. This is quite a massive,
it's
across
huge.
the whole of the Appalachian Mountains.
Oh,
got it right.
check you out.
I know, right? Oh my God, something's gone wrong tonight. I'm actually saying the right words in the right places. And that's the last time I'm going to call it that. Just like it noted in your diaries, everybody. It's from now on, it's
from
the
now
Alpaca
on.
Mountains.
Yeah.
And they are on a completely different project. They go and do some filming with Thing and with another company. And whilst they're there, they start talking to a little girl, don't they?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, wasn't she way too? She was right. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've watched this episode, but I'm pretty sure from memory, wasn't she riding around the entrance of the cave where there was filming? And then when they came out, she said something along the lines of, "You're the monster hunters."
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they'd stopped filming, and then she just approached them, and she was all excited. And she said, "Are you the monster hunters?" And I've seen monsters. And so they were, like, humouring her. And they said, "Well, where do you see your monsters?" Thinking she was going to say under my bed or something. Yeah. And it turns
Which is what you would expect from a child.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In all fairness.
Exactly, right. And then she says, "No, coming out of the caves."
Yeah.
So they go, "Can you draw them?" And what she draws is very similar to, from a childlike's perspective, obviously, to what have they been sent in these emails. Now, at this point, they've got a free weekend, okay? So they then decide to go and visit Hellier, which is like 3.5 to 4 hours away from where they were, right? So they go to Hellier and have a look around, just on the off chance, just to see, just kill some time.
See the area.
Basically, just to
Yeah.
kill some time by the sounds of it. And they have some very interesting discussions with some of the locals.
They do.
Yeah.
That's in my opinion. I think runs into issue on that particular point on it.
And I think we're all probably singing off the same song sheet with that, because personally, I would have asked different questions.
Yeah, I would have asked different questions, but at the end of the day, everyone has their own
It wasn't
approach.
us. It was them doing their investigation.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
At this point, they haven't got a professional, photography team with them. They've just got them, it's just Dana and Greg doing this on the off chance. They've got their kit with them, but they're not professionals like the people that come on board afterwards, like later. Yeah. Now, they get some interesting tales, which kind of ignites it even further, and they go home and they don't hear anything more from the guy, do they?
No, David and Terry was still slightly on the scene at that point, wasn't he? But
I think wasn't that at that point that David stopped emailing, and then
David
all of a sudden
disappeared completely.
All of a sudden they get because it all goes quiet a bit from the point, doesn't it? and then all of a sudden they get an email, and was that from Terry Wrist?
Terry Wrist.
And that's the cryptic email, isn't it?
It's the cryptic one. Now, if anything's going to hook you in, a cryptic email's going to do it.
Love a cryptic email. Don't send me
love a cryptic email. And also, in between this time, they've gone out with another mate of theirs and done a bit of like looking around a mountain, Top Brown Mountain, and he's talking to them about bases, basically UFO bases, where aliens are sort of like taken home in the mountain, and he takes them to a cave that's allegedly part of this, but has been blocked off, and it looks weird.
Isn't that the cave that a medium had pointed them out to as well, or a psychic? Sorry, because I don't think they actually used the word medium. I think they used psychic.
Yeah, that's right. But you can see how this pattern is building in regards to the hooks that are getting you into this. You know what I mean? There's a lot there, and there's a lot of threads starting to come through, and it's very fascinating how it's built up. And then with all the synchronicities, and it just seems weird that everything they go off to do the filming, and the little girl starts talking, and that's like weird, right? About a case that they've got going on in the background that's not that important at this stage. Then they've got this, trekking day with their mate, and they're not up there for that, but he just happens to mention it on the off chance.
Yeah.
Then they get a cryptic email from this other guy, and this Terry Wrist. I so want to say a different name at that point. I'm sorry. So it all becomes very, very interesting. And like I said right from the top of the show, the way it's filmed is it reminded me of two things. It reminded me of early X-Files.
Yeah.
Agreed, 100%, yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. It reminded me a little of Blair Witch.
Yes, yeah.
Without the snot and the, I'm so scared. Didn't have that bit in it. But it reminded me of that. And it showed you, there was a lot of downtime. That's what it showed. It showed a lot of the background research that gets done, and lots of gaps
how
in
refreshing
time.
Was that?
Yeah,
that was great though. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that was refreshing, Jim. And that's the great thing about it. I think that's the bit that kind of like more hooked me as well, is the fact that it wasn't a group of people going into a haunted building, doing vigil after vigil, and then doing the usual roundup of all the information, coming to a conclusion, and delivering the evidence in the same format that we've seen for the last 10 years now.
Yeah.
And it was like a piece. It was like a fictional story, but at the same time, it was delivering it in a factual kind of manner, if that makes sense. So it was a full. It's gone.
And a bit of a jigsaw puzzle in that as well.
Yeah,
because of all the cryptic messages and trying to piece everything together. Fascinating. The way they actually put that together as a documentary. Now, I'm pretty sure that we've not seen all of the footage.
I'm 100% sure we haven't seen it.
Sure
They will have had to condense it to make it fit.
Obviously.
So, we wouldn't have seen all the footage, but the way they've put it together, so you get to see the full case.
Yeah.
From beginning to end. all the downtime, all the emotional roller coasters that they was put through.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, they even portrayed that in a piece of film, didn't they? Where he kind of goes off walking down the street a little bit when he gets kind of a dead end a bit, and it's like I liked that because you get that in a real case, don't you? You're like, I just don't know where this goes next.
It's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, and it showed that, like you say, the footwork that goes into cases like this, where they're going round and they're coming across dead end after dead end and nobody's talking to them and they can't find this David Christie, and the frustration. And then they on the original recce, we'll call it, they thought they'd found a possibility of where they think this house was, but when they go back, they can't find it. The frustration, there's times where you can see they're genuinely freaked out by things that have happened or things that are
because
said.
they're speaking to the locals, and the locals like either they don't want to be on camera, or the caught on the off chance. So the footage of actual speaking to the locals is quite it's strange, isn't it? It really is strange.
I will say
and the things that they're saying as well, like I remember one man saying, just be careful who you speak to. Yes. And it's like, that would automatically put you on high alert.
Yeah, that's going to get your hackles up and you're, oh my God, what have we walked into? But I will say this is a really small, dying town in America. Not that America's got anything to do with it, but, it's in America, so it is in America. But it's like a little town that's sort of dying on its feet. It's got literally one like service station that has got
that doubles up as everything. When it a pizza place and a shop,
exactly. It's off the beaten track. It is very closed community. So I kind of understand that perspective when you look at the type of town it is. I mean, God, they couldn't have picked an ideal name. Hellier, that's the name of the town.
Yeah.
Hellier. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got people saying, be careful who you trust around here. And, when they first go, people were quite receptive. When they go back, nobody wants to talk to them.
No. So, but then we don't know what issues, because there's been bits in the papers and on the radio stations about UFOs being sighted in that area as well. So we don't actually know what issues the locals had.
True.
Or backlash from the media perspective. So when you step back and look at it that way, if they had been receiving bad publicity from the media, that I suppose the locals are going to be quite hesitant to talk.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I mean, if they suddenly got like a feeling there was a UFO thing, their town could have been inundated at some point. I mean, I'm not a big follower of the UFO fraps and stuff like that, but that community. But I mean, if that had popped up, then it could have been their town might have been inundated at some point with loads of people just looking for something that they couldn't find.
But on the other side of that coin, wouldn't that be good for the local community?
Depends what kind of community it is. If they're happy with the way things are, being quiet and being disconnected, because didn't David Christie say that was part of the reason why he moved there, because it was out of the way
and quiet.
Yeah. And that, if that's what people are seeking there, then that's probably what they want to keep. I mean, I know my parents live in deepest, darkest Wales, and they like it because it's quiet and out of the way and all that kind of stuff. So
deepest, darkest Wales.
I really don't think that's a good analogy to some
of
the towns in America. I mean, it is quite a freaky town. When they were driving around, some of the shots, some of it looked incredibly derelict. I mean, at one point, I said to Ashley, it looked like, almost like some of it looked like it was tornado damage. They wouldn't have had tornadoes in that area, but some of it was very derelict. There were things that were like half built and finished. There was like a tractor that was just left there. There was like, it does fit the remit of freaky town. Weird's going to happen here.
Mm-hmm. And then when you've got locals saying, be careful who you talk to, and, I'm pretty sure that is going to make you feel a little bit on edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ex-coal mining town, isn't it, if I remember rightly?
That's right.
And obviously because that's now stopped there, that's obviously because that was the main source of, work and industry in that town, or that area, should I say, maybe not that town. because I haven't checked. Then maybe as that's dried up, then obviously the whole town's dried up, hasn't it? And that's where you've got that situation from. Because I think a couple of people they talked to said they used to work in the coal mines, didn't they? Or am I just making that up? No, I didn't know.
It was people, and that's one of the reasons why there are so many mine shaft openings or cave openings around the town, is because on most properties it was said, have got some form of mine shaft opening or cave opening, because that was it was on their property. It was almost like, I can imagine it being very similar to like a gold rush town, where you would live where your mine was, as it were, and when that seam dried up or whatever, then the mine sort of goes into disrepair, But there's a lot of that in that area because of that. So it is ideal. It's kind of like completely freaky.
That's because those two guys as well they spoke to said that the photographs could be in that area as well. Could be in that area because the mud that they were in is similar to what you get near mines as well, where you get the
one it's slurry or something.
Slurry. Out and then mixes with the mud and makes it all dark and that kind of stuff.
But apparently that would only be seen on where a mine shaft had
flooded out.
Flooded out, yeah.
Flooded out, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So
it
again,
all adds. So far, it ain't looking bad, is it? It's looking quite good, except they're coming up against like dead end after a dead end. Now, I loved that aspect of this because it showed real research. How many times have we sat here and done research and thought we've got a great lead or a great avenue to explore, and then you get nothing, and it's quite frustrating, isn't it, when that happens, because you're looking for something that will take you to the next step.
You're building a body of work, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're looking for those threads to untangle, and you can't find them because you just stopped. There's nothing else to go on.
I mean, initially this started to look like just a basic. I say basic. Started to look like
your basic
cryptozoology case. Little green men running around in the woods at night.
It's just a goblin.
It's just a little goblin.
It's
just an everyday goblin. We see them all the time. But that when you first start watching it, you think it's kind of just a goblin. I mean, weird. I'm not saying it's not weird, but it leads on, and there starts to come in with links to communicating with using occult rituals to communicate with aliens, basically.
Yep.
And this leads into something called... now, this leads into the Mothman prophecies, which you've just read, haven't you, Ashley?
You say just, like literally just finished it as well.
He has literally just finished it.
Yes, it does, and it's the email we said earlier about the one from Terry Wrist that's a bit cryptic. From what we understand from Hellier, the link is into Indrid Cold, who is like a main communicator with Woody Derringsborough in the Mothman prophecies, who's like one of the contactees that John Keel investigates whilst doing the prophet. While following the big story of what happened in Point Pleasant, which is obviously a tragedy, but obviously there was a big UFO frap, and obviously a weird cryptozoology kind of crossover as well at that point in time as well.
So we have got, so far, we've got folklore mythology, we've got with goblins, we've got ufology, we've got conspiracy, we've got basically, and I'm going to use an English term here, like an SAS kind of band of group of blokes that go around killing aliens and killing them off in their little underground bases. We've got people not wanting to talk, dead ends left, right and centre, weird emails. I mean, God, this is like wows, isn't it?
It's from a classic investigator point of view that's not in that case. When you look from the outside in, you go, this is too good to be true. And then that makes you question everything.
Synchronicities, coinkydinks and synchronicities.
Oh, yeah. Coinkydinks and coinkydinks, yeah. And then a few mind games in there with the puzzles. And you've got everything.
You can understand why they've gone, we're going to run with this.
Because wasn't the government implications as well somewhere along the lines?
Well, this was where the group of soldiers came in, wasn't it?
Soldiers, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and secret society groups, and oh my God, it's just like a bit of everything in this. So, as an investigator, it is definitely the case of a dream case of a lifetime. This is now seriously looking like a major hook in you. You're not going to be able to just walk away and leave this and go, oh, well, that's that. Couldn't find anything in Hellier. See you later.
Unlucky cookie. Swiftly moving on.
So they go back home. But then when they go back basically equipped to do a proper investigation of the town. And it's a week, basically a week, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They do.
Yeah.
And this is where they hire a cabin, and they're sitting in the cabin at night, but you see them out and about during the day, and they're driving around, and they do various experiments, and they're talking to various people, and they start to get a few leads.
Yes, they do. Yeah, and some synchronicities.
Yeah.
Some synchronicities and coinkydinks. Now, this is something that's hit the community quite a lot. This is the Estes experiment is highlighted in Hellier quite a lot.
Yes.
Now, this is basically where, for me, it's an extension of the Gansfield, except rather than sensory deprivation, you're sensory stimulating.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because it's a field version of Gansfield, but like I say, like using stimulation because they use and is it an SB kind of SB7?
Yeah, so basically one person is blindfolded with earphones that are hooked up to, for example, an SB7 spirit box, and that's playing. So that person with the earphones blindfolded and the SB7 would be your receiver.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then the other people
I just asked
would be generally asking out as you would on your average investigation. So why are we here? Why do you want us here, sort of thing? And then the person that is the receiver is getting the information through the spirit box and then speaking it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is a method or an approach, so I say, off the back of that I think Carl Pfeiffer and Connor Randall, who are the two that join the guys from Week and Weird, they done they used that mostly in the Stanley Hotel, didn't they, when they was doing their series for that? Like you said, Kerry, though, it's in my opinion, it is an extension of the Gansfield experiment used in the field, changing some bits and pieces to make it a little bit different.
Yep.
But I kind of I'm not sold on it myself. I'll be honest, because it's like there's too many variables in there. I can see the draw to it because it's you get a good reaction, don't you? They ask a question, something comes back, it could relate to what they've asked, and then they can go from there. And you can basically, it can feel like you're having a conversation with something, let's say, and they do get some bits and pieces that, according to the show run, it looks interesting because things come up later on, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, such as the tin can.
The tin can, 48.
Yeah, there are. Yeah. Again, you start hitting a lot of coincidences, but in regards to the case, the original alpha source, which is David Christie, that kind of comes to a dead end. They can't find any trace of this guy.
No. Well, no, they went round all the local authorities trying to find if he'd ever bought a house, driving license, all of it. You know, they literally tried to dig him out of the woodwork, so to speak.
And people couldn't even remember him. And in a small town like that, if someone had moved in, spent 7 or 8 months,
everybody would know.
Everybody would know. A small community like that.
I should think that it had met the local paper. Somebody new moving into the area.
And a doctor,
seriously,
no less.
A doctor as well, and a family, and with a family as well, from what he described. So that wouldn't be a quiet household, because I've got kids. We've all got kids here. So,
yeah. Oh no, that's true.
Yeah. So
and bearing in mind, there is only one place to get groceries or pizza or you know your gas,
your petrol.
Somebody
someone would know him,
and no one does.
And I mean, to be fair, I mean, he could have been using a different name. I mean, if he'd bought petrol, then he would have had a card or something. But we would assume, unless he's paying in cash all the time, which is a little bit weird these days, unless you're trying to keep off the grid, which could actually be a possibility here. To be fair,
possibly, but somebody would have known whether or not you've got his name or any of that. Somebody had moved into the area and then moved out, even if it was a pseudonym, even if it was a fake life that person said. If that person had existed in that town, I think somebody somewhere along the line would have gone, oh, that I don't know him that name, but this guy moved into that property down to Road, and he just went.
He was gone. He was gone.
He just gone. He just didn't say anything. He just left.
Yeah.
Hook, stock, and lock, stock, and barrel, as it were. And but nobody did. So they drew a complete blank. With the David Christie. But so they start looking at other avenues like the Estes experiment and stuff like that, and start working more in a spiritual way, don't they? Yeah,
because Dana she did a tarot card spread, didn't she?
Mm-hmm.
In the hotel. I mean, that...
And a ritual in the woods at the back.
The ritual.
Offering.
Yeah. Well, they were setting their intentions, wasn't they?
Yeah, it was like a little intention ritual. But in that segment, I kind of was thinking natural wildlife thing. Yeah, because
they're hearing sounds coming from just behind them. And exactly. You're out in the woods, you can't... I personally didn't think anything of the sounds that they was hearing, just for that reason, wildlife.
And the only criticism I think I have of that particular point was the music was going on at the same time.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really hear it.
No, yeah, I suppose that's very, very true. And like you said, outdoors, wildlife. I can discern sounds from what they were saying, and all I heard was mainly crickets. Is that the right thing? I don't know.
Yeah, or cicadas, are they?
I was going to say they don't call them crickets, do they? But yeah.
So that's mainly what I took away from that. I mean, it was still shot really nicely and all that kind of stuff. And it kept you intrigued about what was going on, which is brilliant. But at the same time, I didn't take much away from that part of it, to be fair.
I mean, although I know about the experiment, I have to say, whilst they were conducting that on the porch, I have to say, it got my hackles up a little. Not hackles in bad way, as in sent a bit of a chill up my spine for what he was saying against what questions they were asking and that. Personally, I would have had him a lot more removed from the group. I would have had him further away from the group in a different room. That's personal opinion. But watching that as a segment, that it definitely was weird.
Oh, yeah.
So you're spot on there. I mean, I've done a variation of the Gansfield experiment in the past, a long time ago actually now, doing investigations where we've done that, and we've done the whole red light ping pong balls over your eyes, which just looks funny, by the way. In fact, the investigator that we done it for thought it was some kind of initiation test. But anyway, but we sat the guy in a room in the Explosions Museum. Actually, he sat there, and he had a video camera and mic and all that kind of stuff covering everything that he was doing. And his job was basically he had sensory deprivation, so he didn't have like the SB7 box going in his ear. He just had white noise and the red light. And then basically his idea was anything that comes to mind that he feels is relevant to the moment, just say it out loud for the camera so they can see it, and obviously then the camera will see that he's not moved around or there's no one in there and all that kind of stuff. And we had, obviously, as you usually do, CCTV kind of thing. We went to the other side of the location. We might have even gone to another building, I think, and we then stood and basically asked questions, and then rather than getting that like they did with the Estes method, you get a reaction straight away, don't you, because you can hear what's being said. So obviously you can build on that, which is great, but we compared the questions to what the answers were, and we got very little out of it. I think there was like one possible hit, but that was about it. But I've done it in other locations, got some other interesting stuff in the Gansfield kind of environment, so to speak. But I like the approach, but I don't like the approach, if that makes sense. I'm very much on the fence on it, because it's like I think there's too many variables, and there's too much that could influence the scenario. I mean, they said they use like noise cancelling earphones and all this kind of stuff, and the person that's under doesn't know. And I'd take that on board. And to be fair, Conor Randall does say when he talks about it, if I was watching someone do that, I'd be sceptical too, which is a fair point, and I am sceptical of it, to be fair. But it goes back to the bit that's kind of niggling me about the field at the moment, which is the whole reaction-based thing. It's the flashy light sort of thing. They rather than building up information in order to understand things and find out what the patterns are, we're jumping in and we're getting that. I'm going off on a rant here, aren't I? And we're kind of
let it out, Mr. Knibb. Let it out.
We're looking for immediate reactions, aren't we, to information? And I don't think that's always the way to go.
No.
Rant over. Carry on.
do you feel better for that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's no discrimination towards them. I do like the method, but at the same time, I think there's some tweaks that could be made, or some.
Well, like we said from the very start of the show, we have all been fascinated by it.
Okay.
We've all watched it. We've not missed any of it. So no, it's definitely not criticism at all. But like we said, everybody will do things differently.
Yeah.
We're all human. It's like I personally would have been looking at the IP address a lot earlier.
Yeah, I would have done that before I even left
the emails
house.
they received. Yeah, that's a massive. I work in IT, and that probably would be on my first point of call.
Like who is sending it?
I will say this, right? If you're building a storyline up over a case to put out there as a series, a docu-series, you kind of look at placements of things to build the suspense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
I don't see an investigator as knowledgeable and as experienced as Dana and Greg are not doing that before.
Oh no, I'm sure. But this is what we were saying earlier. We're only seeing
how they've put it together.
The edited version. So we're probably missing loads.
To be fair,
probably.
That's a valid point there, because thinking about it now, in retrospect, if that IP bit had been at the beginning, that wouldn't be very significant.
Oh no, you'd probably switch off at that point. You'd be like,
you'd be like, obviously that's obvious that is. But
that lead's not going anywhere now, is it? What's the point?
But in the middle, it created a drama point, didn't it? Because it kind of was like, hang on a minute, and then all of a sudden they thought it was coming from somewhere near where they lived, so they thought it was a hoax, and that built it.
Yeah, Canada, wasn't it? There was one from. There was about 4 different IP addresses, wasn't there?
Yeah. But this is standard, like you said. This is standard. If you're going to put something out there to keep people entertained and involved, it has to run through the standard process of a TV show, doesn't it? That gives you that builds you up, and then gives you the finale right at the end and all that kind of stuff. But equally, as we were saying just before we came on air, that finale still has to leave you wanting.
Leaves you wanting more.
Definitely done that.
Yes.
Oh God, yeah. It is. It's because it's such a breath of fresh air as well in regards to TV, a TV program showing you an investigation more realistic, and I'm using that term loosely. And it's not
just the investigation either, is it? It's the actual building of the case, because we don't see this on shows. On shows, we literally just get thrown in. This is the brief bit of the history. This is a brief bit about the location. Straight in with the investigation. We don't see the build-up of the case.
We've seen we've seen that to death now. That's right. So that's not repeating,
Oh, definitely.
Over the last 10 years, we've seen that all the way through. Most Haunted, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, Paranormal Lockdown, and various other ones that have been through the mill as well. I can't think of right now for some reason. But yeah, they changed the format a little bit, but they're only skewing it slightly. This gave us that X-Files element back, and to be fair, we were probably psychologically pulled in on that, because in quite a few of the first few shots, you've got "I want to believe" and all that kind of posters, which is brilliant.
Yeah, they've got a cool house,
and even down to the screensaver, Greg. So if you're listening, Greg, we know your screensaver is the same thing. So we saw the psychological elements of that, and to be fair, as a bit of an X-File fan from back in the day, I liked that. Loads, and even the office, the shots of him in his office was all a bit like the X-Files, because they used to start in the office and discussing bits and pieces and stuff like that, which is very good. I like that. So I was suckered in by that one. I put my hands up.
Dana and Greg come across a little bit like Mulder and Scully as well, don't you? You've got him as the believer, ready to take on the wackier cases, 100%. And she sits there and she's like, I kind of sit back and watch people a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? And so it is very Mulder and Scully. Well, I loved it. Though. I absolutely loved it.
10 out of 10 to Dana. She said right from the very off, if it had been a ghost haunting, she'd have believed it from the off, because that's where her passion is, you know. Whereas ufology, she's more skeptical of it. So she was the one. She said, obviously, Greg was straight away well interested, but she was like, I don't know. Let's discuss this sort of thing. And that's a breath of fresh air as well, to actually have somebody be as honest enough to say, had it have been different, I'd have been well up for it.
To be fair, I have to say the guys come across, all of them, Connor, Carl, Dana, Greg, all the featured people come across as very level-headed. They come across as very honest. They know what they're talking about because they've been doing it for a long time. They outline their emotional responses to it, which is a fantastic. It's refreshing to hear.
Yeah, because they're touching on your parapsychology and everything there.
Exactly. You know, and they're educating you as well. This is the East-West experiment. This is how we do it. And then they do it. It's not massively in depth in regards to the explanations, but it's very credible what they're bringing over. And I liked that because you can see when they're talking about it after the event, even some of the things that happened, they've got to be very good actors for some of the emotional responses that you're seeing. Like when they're trying to explain, like, I saw that when I was doing the Estes experiment, like the tin can, when I walked into that cave. And it was there.
Wasn't that Connor's reaction to that?
And he was like, you could see his brain still going. I'm not quite sure what that was. Do you know what I mean? But I got that vision while I was doing the Estes experiment on the porch. Then when we do the investigation in the cave, there's no other sign of human activity like graffiti, rubbish, stuff like that. Right. But amongst all the stone debris in there, there's just a tin can, and it's how I saw it. A single tin can,
yeah.
And it's how I saw it. But you can see when he's talking about that out of that environment, you can see that they're still going, what was that? What?
Yeah. What just happened?
What the heck was that? Was that just coincidence? Was it just any old tin can that was? But why did I get that then in that? Was that so? And you can see those thought processes going through. And like when they're talking to people that they know, and even down to some of the phone conversations. There was the 4848 comes up again, and they're like, it's weird. And then they get a guy who they've worked with before, says, you'll never guess who I'm talking to, and it links back to the Mothman prophecies. And it does seem very, very strange.
Well, you'd stand there and go, no way.
Yeah, which they do. They sit there and they're like, what the hell is happening here?
I mean, I loved the fact as well, something else that I loved about it, that they didn't try and hide if they was unsure on something. So they did call their friends up and they did say, like the tech person, where do we go with this? Yeah, what can we do?
Which is because it's brilliant. That is because you didn't get that sense of them thinking you brought into them as a group better because you didn't feel that they were sitting there going, no, I know everything. They were going, I don't know that, so I'll talk to this person, or I'm going to talk to that guy because he's been a great source of information around X, Y, Z, and all that kind of stuff. And they phoned up that other guy, didn't they, as well, and all this kind of stuff. And I think that kind of helps you subscribe more to what they're talking about and stuff like that. Because
sort of brings you into the team as well, doesn't it? It makes you feel like you're getting to know them better as well.
We've all experienced that as investigators, haven't we?
You feel like you're part of the investigation team.
Oh God, yeah.
The way it's filmed, you feel like you're part of it. It's almost like a reality investigation documentary case.
Did it make any of you two think, like, because we quite often have Skype chats, whether it be about a book we're reading, whatever, we will quite often just Skype and say, well, what do you think to that? It sort of reminded me a bit of us lot, and it was like, that's weird. We so do that.
It is like that, except we need a case like this.
Oh, yeah. If anybody listening has got one,
oh, no. I don't want the batshit crazies like messaging me like, oh, I found some weird footprints. I'll be like, you've just watched Hellier? And then Ashley be like, oh, it's the mongoose case. You've got to have a look at it, Kel. KG, don't dismiss it out of hand. You never know. I'll be like, oh, my God, here we go, rabbit hole.
Not just a rabbit hole sometimes, though, is it? Sometimes you get stuck in a cul-de-sac that's got no exit. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, true. But I have to say, I loved it. I have to say, I can't wait for the next lot, quite frankly.
Oh, there's definitely going to be one as well, isn't there?
There's definitely going to be more. Yeah. I hope that it's accessible to people. Yeah. I really hope they are leaving it accessible to people. Not all of us have got lots of money to be able to subscribe to everything that we want to look into in the paranormal field. It would not surprise me if it's snatched up by something like Netflix or something like that. That would not shock me in the slightest, because the quality of the filming, the way it's been put goodly, the music behind it, everything is great. It is such a goodly. That's a good word, isn't it?
That's a new word.
I'm making words up now. It's such a well-produced piece of, TV, I would say. They've done an amazing job of bringing a breath of fresh air to the world of paranormal TV, I would say. Yep.
No, I
want to know what happens next. Much as I can criticise certain perspectives of it, or things I personally would have done differently. That doesn't make me right and them wrong. It's just a different way of investigating. But I want to know what happens next.
Well, they said, didn't they, that they feel like what was the word that they used? It's really going to bug me now. So at the end, when there was in the cave system. They feel, what was the word? Somebody help me out here.
I don't know.
that part of it had come to an end.
Yeah, they feel like they'd concluded what they was there for. But I've got a sneaky suspicion there's going to be more.
I would say there's a definite that there's going to be more. But at that point of their investigation, they felt they'd come to a natural pause, shall we say?
Yeah.
They'd gone to Hellier, done what they needed to achieve. They didn't know what that was because they didn't find green goblins. I'm going to put that out there. Sorry, spoiler, everybody.
Oh, doom.
But that was the point, though. They said they mentioned it around Hellier, didn't they? They'd come to the natural end of what was in Hellier.
Yes. But
which means
those
they could
cave
be elsewhere.
Systems go on, as we know, for hundreds of miles.
Well,
exactly.
they've opened the possibility wide open. I mean, they've linked it into the Mothman prophecies, which is a massive thing back in the 60s and all that kind of stuff. That talks about, Akil talks about that. So much so that, like I said, I picked up the bloody book and wrote it, and I read it. Sorry, and it's there's so much for them to take. There's so much scope for them to take with this now, because they've linked it into so many different aspects of the paranormal that they can just play with it really and take it anywhere. And to be fair, like you said. I'd watch it, because if it's delivered in the same way, put together in the same way, then that's worth a watch. I'm not concerned. What's the right word? I don't know if.
Hope it's a real case scenario.
Yes,
it may not have happened exactly. They may have had to tailor it to get a good show out of it. But I hope that the case, like the emails when they first started getting the emails, that this isn't a work of fiction. As it were, they've come up with this scenario. I hope that it is based in fact. They say it is, and I hope that they progress the next stage of this in the same format that they follow their investigation through. Whatever happens next, it is clear there is going to be more on this. It's a no-brainer.
Well, they can't just leave it there anyway. For us poor members of the public that are now invested in this, they cannot just leave it there. It's not like we can just pop and go and do our own investigation. We need them to complete this.
Yes, we want them, don't we? We want them to continue with this. Keep digging, guys. Keep digging. We kind of want you to carry on with this investigation. I don't care how concluded or paused you think this is. We want you to go digging some more. I'm sure there's more to come. I kind of wanted Indrid Cole to pop up
Yes.
Well, they left that aspect of it a bit open, didn't they? Because he's isolated, if I remember
which suggests he's still around.
And the Third Order are MIA.
Yeah. I mean, let's not forget, at the very end as well, Greg did say, if David wants to come forward or Terry Arist, feel free, So it is still wide open.
It is still wide open, and it is a fascinating breath of fresh air that's hit the paranormal community, giving us kind of like what the X-Files did for us right at the beginning. It is... Richard has just said in the chat room, it reminds him a lot of the Skinwalker Ranch documentary.
Yeah, I've just read that,
Yeah. It gives us a breath of fresh air in regards to what we got when Most Haunted first started, when you go back like 15 years, or when but you remember at the time there's nothing like it on the TV. Yeah. It gave you that wow factor. That's exact. That's fantastic. That's what we wanted. Then that's got tired and old. Then the X-Files. Well, that is complete fiction based in, and they base their episodes on, real life cases, even though they changed names and used a lot of discernment sometimes in their production of that. But when that first started, it was such a hit because it kind of hit that. This has done that.
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
This has done that for us. It's given us a new...
It's sparked the imagination, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And the passion again. Yeah, it's we watch so much. I mean, not everyone does. Sorry, it's different people's opinion, but I see so much on TV these days that I don't buy into anymore. It just because it's the same old sound. But this was different. This showed you like you said, it showed you the legwork. It showed you the dead ends. It showed you the frustration. It showed you the mistakes in some places. And all that kind of stuff as well, and the investigators often will follow a case and they'll just dig and trying to find something, and it can take you off down that rabbit hole, and that's the best kind of case because you're off then and just finding out loads of stuff, and it teaches you a hell of a lot as well whilst you're on the way.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. So I have to say to the team who made Hellier, Greg, Dana, Connor, and
Carl.
Thank you.
And
Rashid
as well.
Yep. Well done. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, well done. It's got all of us hooked. A lot of people, it's trending, basically.
Yep.
It's trending all over the place. Everyone's talking about it. And hence why we are too, because we've had long discussions about this behind the scenes as we've watched each episode. We've talked about this quite a lot privately. And... if you haven't caught it, yes, there's been a few spoilers tonight, but trust me, watch it for yourself because there's still a hell of a lot we haven't talked about in regards to this. But go watch it. It's on YouTube. It's free. Go watch it. It is a really great piece of work. It's filmed beautifully. It's explained beautifully. You like the people that are involved. You kind of want to know, you want them as your buds, don't you? You know what I mean? By the end of it.
You just want to pop round for a brew, don't you?
You want to be involved now, right? The music is brilliant in it. It is a really good piece of work. So well done, and I can't wait to watch more, is what I'm going to say. And on that note, why not try and get one on for an interview? Do you not think I'm trying, Mr. Clements, is all I'm going to say. Do you not think I've already tried and will be continuing to try? Although they're a little busy at the moment, as you can imagine, for lots of other podcasts and radio shows and TV appearances. But I am trying. Don't get me wrong, I am trying. Anyway, on that note, we have actually come to the end of the show. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, got a full week of shows next week. You'll have to join me on the Parasearch Radio group page at around 6:30 tomorrow to catch up and find out what we're all doing this week. And Well, that's it for another week, really, isn't it? And tomorrow, the tarot reading competition gets drawn as well. So if you want to be in for a chance to win a tarot reading with myself, then just go over to the Parasearch Radio group page and comment your name, so you will be entered into the draw. So that is happening on the live tomorrow as well. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure as always.
You're very welcome.
You're welcome.
And don't forget, if you've missed any of our shows, you can go over to our YouTube channel. It's got every single show that has ever been done on Parasearch Radio, on either Parasearch Radio or Archive Parasearch Radio, and catch up. Binge listen while you're working. You can do it via an app. You can do it via all sorts of things. But also, what must you do when you go over onto our YouTube channel?
Click like, share and subscribe.
That's
Go
the
on,
one.
Gemma, you do it. Go on, Gemma, you do it.
That was rubbish.
Yeah, this means we get to say it 3 times now. You do it then see if Terry can top you.
Don't forget to click like, share and subscribe.
They've got it
now
down.
over to the professional.
Now,
click like, share and subscribe. And on that note, we bid you a very farewell. Good night.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.